Welcome back to the third part in this four-part series of the opinion piece. We're looking at training and apprenticeships. Peter Ball, my guest, is back. And this one, I would say, is right up his street because this is what Peter's been doing a long time. He's exceptionally good at, very passionate, training and upskilling. Now, as I mentioned last week, I've had a bad back for years and there's no way I can do what I did as a teenager or in my early 20s. So what options have tradespeople got as they get older? Now, Peter, welcome back. So I'm a big area of yours. Do you think there's enough awareness for tradespeople when they get into sort of 50s or back start going, or, you know, roofer's foot, plasterer's shoulders? There's a lot of opportunities. So do you think we need more awareness of this? Because when you've got 20, 30 years skills on the tools, I think it's invaluable.
It is. The main problem we have is that when people are young, they don't realise they're getting older. And the problem is that when you're with the building trade, as you get older, you get more skilled, but it doesn't get any easier. Physically, it's still, in fact, it gets harder because your body isn't as able to do it. So what we need to do is think in terms of, when we're in our 20s and 30s, if we've decided this is our career, to plan the future. This is, you know, planning is everything. Plan the future. Think, well, do I want to be doing this when I'm 50? Would I like to have developed a business where I can just manage it? Would I like to go into training? Beautiful thing. You've got 30 years experience. What a wonderful way you can pass that experience on to the next generation. Some people think they go down the property line. So it becomes more of management. I mean, there's a guy who's in Croydon, he's not there now. I mean, he decided to go into property, but he didn't pick on houses, he picked on garages. 11,000 garages he owns throughout Britain. Multi-millionaire, only got one house. You see, there's lots of, you know, flipping, land flipping. There's loads of things you can do in building. You don't have to, I mean, I've gone down the teaching route, but you don't have to do that. You can pass your skills on. We also have another program where I work, is this idea of, you know, when you get some capital, because we're all in a capital business, not the income business, when you get some capital, what do you do with it? So we need to teach builders about sorting out an early good pension program, because the state won't give them anything, especially by the time they're retiring, and they'll probably be working to 70 to get any sort of pension. So all these things should be taught and inculcated very early on in their career. So they've got a plan. It's all about a plan. And I believe what we need is for young tradespeople, when they're qualified, is to sit down with an expert, not just a financial expert, but someone to help them plan their future, assuming they want to stay in the industry. Because there's nothing more sad in this world than seeing men, and some women, but mainly men, who are crippled, and they've given 40 years of their life, and they've been good, and they're on welfare. Yeah. Because no one taught them anything about money. I mean, it's child abuse, the fact they don't teach us about money in schools. I think that's one of the most evil things. And that's a global problem, not just UK. Yeah. It's disgusting.
That's, as we chatted before we started recording, I mean, the education system, I mean, needs to be ripped up and starting again. But one thing, now I'm going to put this out there to you, Peter. I think I know the answer. A lot of the talks I do at the exhibitions, so home building, renovating, 7, 8 years I've been working there. Sure. I've always said, because a load of homeowners want to ask, who's the best project manager? And without fail, I've always said, somebody time served on the tools. Yeah. Because, you know, for the minute that digger turns up, start digging out, to that final coat of paint and everything in between, we've seen everything. Good, bad, ugly, unexpected, sinkholes, everything. To me, getting a good time-served trade into project management, no disrespect, architects, QSs, I think we're the best at that job. What a great opportunity when your back's going or your shoulders playing up.
It's all about scale. To go and repair someone's fence is very little different from building the Shard. It's just scale. To repair someone's fence, you need all the basic skills that are much lower, almost, than you need to run a big contract, because everything comes in from day one. From day one, you've got to be able to estimate. From day one, you've got to be able to think about pricing. You've got to, well, this is estimating. You've got to think about keeping records. All those kind of skills And as John D. Rockefeller said, he said, I didn't make money in oil. I made money because I kept an eye on my accounts. And that's the key. So one of the things I always say to students is, do you know how much money you've got in your account today? Do you know how much money? You should be checking your account twice a day. That your brain, you are in business to make money initially, essentially, and you do that by providing a service. It's not the other way around. People think, oh, I want to do building, blah, blah, blah. No, you're in business to make money, and that should be right from day one. The way you make money is by providing a really good service and product, and through reliability and quality, and you don't make money by trying to be cheap. That's the mistake that they make. They're all on a race to the bottom. Oh, well, I better go cheaper. Then, of course, you end up with a bad job, a rubbish job, because they haven't actually bothered to think this through. So, yeah.
So we've looked at project management briefly.
Yeah.
Teaching. Talk us about, obviously you've been doing it a number of years now.
Yes.
Wealth of experience all around the world.
Yeah, works abroad, yeah.
How did you get into teaching? Because there's probably a fair few people thinking, do you know what, I'm time served, I've been doing this a while. Well, what advice would you give?
It's crazy. I started in a very small way. I decided that I would like to run an evening class in carpentry, because when I was much younger, when I was just out of school, I went and did an evening class long before I learned to trade. I went and did an evening class in carpentry and woodwork. It was atrocious. It was awful. It was pathetic. I mean, it was just a social get-together. Yeah. You were 2 hours, and half an hour of that was lining up for a cup of tea. And by the time you got your tools out, I thought, no, we've got to improve on this. So one of the things I would like to see, which goes on in America, is we don't have this thing, you're just a big time-served tradesman or you're nothing. We want something in the middle. We want people to work their way into it gradually through time and train. This is where training can be. It can be ongoing. I mean, I don't know, do 3 years and then do some training and then get some experience and then go back. It's lifelong learning, as they call it now.
Yes,
get a bit more training. Keep feeding the training in over several years. It's a much better way to learn, definitely, than this. Right, I've done my time now, that's it, well, no, and materials change, techniques change, so people like it, upskill, keep training, not only long courses, but short training,
Got to quickly bring it up, because we talked about it just before.
Yeah, sure.
The way you're talking about training, youngsters coming in and older people, let's say carpentry, straight on power tools, chop saws and, jigsaws, but actually, I really agree with what you're doing, starting them on hand tools. And I think skilled carpenters and joiners, a lot are starting to use hand tools.
Well, what's happened, and I've seen it in my lifetime, is we've moved from craft to technology. You see, now people need a machine to blow their nose. They need a machine to scratch their head. They can't do anything without a machine. They've got to have an electronic tool. And they have their use, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But if you really want to learn a trade from the root up, learn to use the hand tools first. And often I find, I don't know whether you agree, Andy, but I find sometimes it's almost as quick to use a hand tool. Because we had an experiment once. We had a guy who had a machine, brought in a machine to work to cut a mortising lock. So I said, all right, we'll start timing it. So I got one of my students. He was, all right, he was better one. I said, okay, you start, drill out and then chisel it, square it up with a chisel. And he started doing that. And this bloke, he faffed around for so long setting this machine up that the guy who chiseled it was finished first. But some people, they just a machine for everything,
I think it's because people think their brain is going, right, once everything's set up, it's a simple bosh.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's setting up. Now, I appreciate now we're a lot more cordless, but battery's dead. Right, hang on, where's the charging point?
Yeah.
I've got to go and charge that better. I've got to take it off that other machine.
Yeah.
And I think, to some extent, you get a better finish. I think things like hand planes compared with an electric plane.
You've got more control.
Yes.
When you're taking an electric plane up, say, through a door, the last bit always loops a bit out. So you've got that dent in the top.
Or if it's crap material, it ends up splintering.
Splitting, yes. Especially end grain. Yeah. I know.
Is it lazy? Is this the way the industry could be going, that it's quicker, faster, get a power tool rather than...
Well, what's happened is, as I understand it, is that because the price of land's gone up so much, that as soon as people invest in anything in building, they want it done quickly because they want a return on investment. So what's happened is that builders rush things because if they don't get them done in time, it's costing the client money. So that, we have all these penalties and everything, which is fine, but that's causing a rush culture. Get it done, as quickly as possible. And or if it doesn't quite work, well, it doesn't matter because as long as you're there on time, and as long as things look nice, reasonable when it's done, I won't use any company names in this thing.
I think we all know them.
A furniture company that might consider
maybe a couple of new builds.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's the problem though, because it's the bigger national house builders. It's all about spreadsheets. We've got to finish on that date with this budget. Whatever can be done to cut a corner, because we've all been there and seen it. And this is why a lot of them have got a bad name. You look at a flank wall on one of the new builds, you can have it as a climbing wall. Whoever's laid those bricks clearly don't know what they're doing. And that's another thing. So we sort of go off topic, but having the quality and being proud rather than just lashing it up. One thing I just want to look at quickly, very interestingly, and is this because of COVID? You've noticed quite an increase in the age demographics of people coming to your training centre.
Much older.
Getting into construction.
Much older. A lot of them aren't necessarily getting in completely. They're sticking their toe in the water. And once they've got their toe, they're hooked. It's like a drug. I mean, God, I've actually created something. Exactly. They're so excited. They do my job for me, really. Because once they're hooked, they will put all the effort in, All I've got to do is just keep them on track. It's marvellous. I mean, it's lovely to see it. And they go away and they see us so proud of what they've achieved. Honestly, it's such a wonderful industry.
But if you go way back to when we're little, I've always said we are born, our DNA is to create and make things. The reason I say that is when kids are little, kind of before school really properly starts, so 4, 5, how much crap do they come home with? They've created cereal boxes, loo roll, shoe boxes. They're proud. Look what I've done, Dad. Get to 6, 7 is a computer, son. And that creativity is pulled out of us. But it's in our... And I've been I'm very lucky that my 10-year-old lad, he's always wanted to create. He's kept doing it.
Good.
He's only 10, but he's puts on scratch codes with me. He's not on power tools, but he's learning how things, and this is why I think we should have maybe discussed it in the last episode. What should be an apprenticeship? You need to learn how to labour properly for your trade. So you can't just go running the line bricklaying.
No.
Right.
Agree.
There's 4 pallets of bricks, 2 pallets of blocks, a couple of bulk bags of soft, load of dust, wall starters, wall ties. They need to be round the back. Spot board set up, always full, mixer on the go. That is key. And I think that's a skill in itself. We've said before, my opinion is the hardest trade to find is a bloody good labourer. Yeah,
I agree. And all this should start in school. Don't wait until they've finished, because a lot of children, they're totally uninterested in what's going on at school. What they want to do is, some aren't, but what a lot of them want to do is they want to do something practical with their hands.
It's in our DNA.
I know. And kids that are really bored in sitting, listening and working in classroom, you get them out into the woodwork shop and suddenly they come alive. This is what they were made for, they were born for.
And do it's funny you use that word. Every day when I speak to my lad, how was school? Boring. Now I know he's not going to be an academic. He's going to be more vocational, more work with his hands. So he's maybe come into the trade or mechanic or chef or who knows, but he's not going to sit in an office tapping away at a computer. We need to celebrate those people because some of them could be so skillful. And I think that's one of the big things we need to do. Just to quickly finish off this week, looking at the training and upskilling. How do we stop, it's a massive question, sorry to put you on the spot. How do we stop losing these people, men and women in construction with 30, 40 years experience that feel, back's bad, or, I can't do this anymore. How do we keep them? Because their experience and knowledge is unbelievable.
I think you use a common phrase, make it cool. The people who can change all this are the media. like you're doing with this program and your show. So start to show building in a good light, show it on the media, show it on social media, show what builders can achieve. What tends to happen on social media often is it only becomes a story if a builder's cocked up. But we want to show builders doing things, and people see these things and they think, wow, I'd like to do that. That would really excite me. I didn't realise all that was involved. You know, you see, they have bricklaying competitions, you know?
Yeah.
You've probably seen them.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch a good bricklayer, I mean, just doing, and you think, oh, I could do that. I love that. I love the way he moves. It's choreography. It's a dance, I always say. And you know, the sports and the arts have got all this going for them. Why can't building be the same? Because after all, and the other thing, of course, is the Skills Olympics. We've got to really promote that, you know, and make skills, have, you know, more apprentices of the year, you know, have competitions, do all those sort of things they do in sport and bring it into the construction industry. Lots of media, lots of encouragement, and it would change everything. It really would.
It's funny you mention a few of those things. It's something we're working on because I think bringing in that competitive element, highlighting your skill set, why are you better than her, why are you better than him, and having that. There's a lot of just to finish with, you know, a lot of really crap award ceremonies in the construction. A lot of them are just pointless. I went to one a couple of months ago. CPA, the Construction Plant Hire Association, all youngsters, apprentices. I was blown away. Seeing how proud their face were as a 20-year-old, sitting with mum and dad and partner, winning an award for their apprenticeship or their skills or what they've achieved. That's what we should be focusing on, because they were so proud. And you know that following Monday, when they go back to work, they're just going to go like that. You know, saying, oh, this big blue chip company's won this big contract. Couldn't give a shit. And I think, as you say, let's bring that in and make it cool.
Make it cool, definitely. That's it.
If you're listening, when you watch this, make it cool. Be proud of what you do, because at the end of the day, without us, we wouldn't have studios, homes, offices, schools, hospitals. We build these, we create these. So to finish with next week, we are going to look... I paused because we don't want to talk about too much, because it is a little bit dreary, but we've got to address it. CITB, grants. Is the system currently fit for purpose? What do we think of it? And moving forward, how we're going to change it.